The valet handed over the keys to a black SUV, gleaming beneath the glass canopy of the Westbrook Hotel, the kind of place where wealth was invisible yet everywhere, from the scent of imported cologne to the silent way bodyguards scanned the air. Maya Harris stood a few feet away, clutching her takeout bag, waiting for her rideshare. She wasn't supposed to be there long, just passing through after a shift at the diner. But fate doesn't need much time to turn a life upside down. She had just taken a sip of her coffee when she heard it. Two men by the SUV, speaking softly in Mandarin. Her ears sharpened, instincts tingling. It wasn't the words that caught her attention, it was the tone. Cold, practiced, deliberate. Kuai dian, zai ta shang che kian wan cheng jiao huan. Finish the switch before he gets in the car. Maya froze. She wasn't fluent, but she'd spent 3 years working in a Chinatown restaurant. Enough to understand that something about this conversation wasn't right. She looked at her friend Layla, who was scrolling on her phone beside her.
Layla,
she whispered. Those guards, they said something about a switch. In Chinese, Layla frowned.
A switch?
Like, what do you mean? Before Maya could explain, the doors to the hotel opened and a tall man with salt and pepper hair and an easy, unguarded smile walked out, flanked by assistants. James Holloway, the philanthropist millionaire who'd made headlines for giving away half his fortune. The kind of man the city adored. The guards stiffened immediately, straightening their suits. One of them pressed something on his earpiece. The other glanced toward the car. Too quickly. Maya's stomach turned. Layla, she murmured, I think they're going to... But she didn't finish. James was just steps away from the car door. So she shouted, Sir, don't get in that car! Her voice echoed through the marble entrance, sharp and trembling. Everyone stopped. The valets, the assistants, even the city noise seemed to fade. The guards turned like wolves caught mid-step. One barked, Step back! But his voice wasn't confident. It was panicked. James stared, confused. What's going on? Maya's heart was beating so loud it hurt. They said something. About switching something before you got in. Please, just don't move! One of the hotel managers rushed forward. Is there a problem here? Layla, realizing the danger, stepped between Maya and the guards. They're not who they say they are, she said quietly, but her voice carried. Within seconds, actual hotel security emerged, drawn by the commotion. Among them was a staff member who spoke Mandarin. When Maya repeated what she'd heard, his face drained of color. She's right, he said hoarsely. They were talking about detonating a device. Everything after that happened in fast, blurred flashes. Shouts, radios, police swarming, people screaming. Officers tackled the fake guards before they could move. When they opened the SUV door, they found wires under the driver's seat. It wasn't just a ride. It was a death trap. James Holloway stood frozen, his face pale as paper, as the realization hit him. My God, he whispered. Then his eyes turned to Maya and Layla, two strangers still shaking, who'd just saved his life. Who are you? He asked, voice raw. Maya swallowed hard. Just people who heard something we couldn't ignore. He stared at them for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Then tonight I owe everything to two people who listened when no one else would. And in that moment, under flashing red and blue lights, something changed. Not just for him, but for them. If you've ever doubted that one small voice can make a difference, remember this. Because stories like Maya's remind us that the smallest acts of awareness can ripple into something life-saving. So while you're here, take a second to subscribe the channel and share this story. Help someone remember that courage isn't rare. It's just often overlooked. The next morning, the headlines were everywhere. Billionaire saved by 2 local women after foiled kidnapping. But for Maya and Layla, it didn't feel heroic. It felt heavy. Reporters camped outside the diner where Maya worked, flashing cameras through the windows. She just wanted to pour coffee and forget. A few days later, the diner bell rang, and there he was. James Holloway. No entourage, no cameras. Just him? Coffee? Maya asked quietly, pretending to smile. He nodded. Black and maybe a few minutes of your time. She poured the cup, hands trembling. "You don't owe me anything," she murmured. He studied her face. "You saved my life. I'd say I owe you more than a thank you." He looked around the diner. Old booths, buzzing lights, the smell of grease and tired dreams. "You like working here?" Maya shrugged. "It's work. Keeps the lights on." Layla, who'd stopped by for lunch, laughed softly. "She wants to start a safe house for immigrant girls. Somewhere they can go when the world gets cruel." Maya rolled her eyes. "It's just an idea." James smiled. "Then let's make it real." Maya blinked. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," he said. "You saved my life. Let me help you build something that saves others." And that was the start of the Willow House. 3 months later, an abandoned community center in Eastbrook was reborn. The old walls were painted in pastel colors, windows filled with sunlight, and laughter echoed where silence once lived. Maya stood under the new sign, the Willow House, a safe place for her. Tears in her eyes as girls unpacked bags and children played in the lobby. Layla managed the books and volunteers, always teasing Maya about how their one crazy night had turned into a second chance for so many. One evening, James visited. No suit, no fanfare, just jeans and a hoodie. He walked through the halls slowly, smiling as he watched a group of girls learning English with Layla. He stopped beside Maya. "You did this," he said quietly. She shook her head. "We did this. You believed in me when I didn't," he smiled. "You listened when others ignored. That's rarer than money." Maya looked around. The murals on the walls painted by the girls, the laughter echoing from the common room. "I used to think my life would always be small," she said softly. "But I guess sometimes small moments lead to the biggest things." James nodded. "You heard something no one else heard. And because of that, I'm still here. And so are they." Outside, the city lights flickered across the windows. A soft rain started to fall, tapping gently on the glass. Maya stood there, her reflection shimmering in the window, her heart full. Layla joined her, whispering, "You ever think about that night?" Maya smiled faintly. "Every day. I think about how close we came to walking away. How easy it would have been to say nothing." She looked at Layla, then back out at the rain. But we didn't. And that made all the difference. The rain fell harder, washing the streets clean. Inside, warmth filled the air. The hum of new beginnings, the sound of women finding strength again. And for the first time in a long time, Maya believed the world wasn't just something that happened to her. It was something she could change.